Transmitter device activated. Coordinates set for Earth 2.
Hey everyone, welcome to the F2 Podcast, your weekly exploration of the DC Comics multiverse and the legacy of their Golden Age characters to the Silver and the Bronze Ages of comics. I'm Peter Watson.
And I'm David Steele, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. A swift return to the pages of All-Star Comics featuring the whatever they're called that takes 3 weeks, the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, that's who it is. It features issue 63, following on from last week when we did issue 62, issue 63 published on the 17th of August 1976. Peter will tell us about the cover.
In the top left corner, the line of DC superstars. There's a banner at the top telling us who's in this amazing comic. It's the legendary Justice Society of America in All-Star Comics with the Super Squad. Guys, just bring it down to JSA.
Nonsense, isn't it? It's Gary Puckett in the Union Gap. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Anyway.
There's three figures representing the combined JSA and Super Squad, and that is Superman standing with his hands and hips as he does. Power Girl, she looks like she's flying. Can she fly? Don't think so, not yet. And Jay Garrick Flash running in as well.
It looks like Power Girl is tripping and has got her hands outstretched to brace her fall.
She may well be doing that, yes.
Yes.
Top right corner, 30 cents, number 63, December cover date, instruction codes 30417, approved by the Comics Code Authority. But you don't want to know any of that. You want to know what the main image in the cover is. And it's the return of an old favourite. A return of someone we've seen very recently on the podcast. Solomon Grundy is front and centre. And he is laying into the JSA. He's punching Hawkman, who's flying backwards. And he's got Wildcat by the leg. Oh my goodness.
Oh gosh.
Coming in behind to deal with the situation is Power Girl. She looks absolutely aghast at what's going on. But in the background, we can see if another familiar figure. It's the Fiddler. And he's fiddling away on his fiddle, funnily enough.
He is. You can see the notes floating across the waves like McToots notes used to go floating over Loch Ness in the start of the Family Nest back in the 80s.
My goodness, yes. There's a
reference
for
our American
listeners.
Jenkins, you may have had to.
And Grundy is saying,
Solomon Grundy will smash you all, puny heroes.
And the Fiddler concludes, and then the Injustice Gang will take over the world. And in the bottom right-hand corner, there's an inset panel of the unmasked Dr. Fate. And there's an arrow pointing at him, saying, you dare not miss the death of Dr. Fate.
Now, you're going to hate me for saying this, listeners. This cover really reminds me of issue 39 of The Defenders.
In what way, David?
Well, you've got a fight and stuff going on with some characters who might not all be present at the same time in the same location. And there's an inset saying, never mind what's going on in this main image. What about this other member of the recurring regular cast?
Yes.
Because Defenders 39 has, if that ain't enough or whatever it is, what the heck's going on with the Hulk? So I was just reminded of it instantly. I got my copy of All-Star 63, which I'm reading from. I bought it very soon after I started working in Stateside Comics in the basement of Virgin Megastore in Union Street in Glasgow, late in 1993. I'm not sure why I remember it, but I think it was the only issue of this run that I got when I worked in Stateside. It was the only one in stock, and I bought it because I didn't have it at that point. My memory that year is of Pete Root going to the States and coming back with just about every issue I didn't have of the Freedom Fighters. I think I've quite a few Secret Societies and some All-Stars as well. I'm not sure. No way of checking, of course. But yes, it's nice that out of the thousands and thousands of comics I own, this is one, very, very few that I can remember where I bought it.
You did good. I have no idea where I bought mine. There we are.
Anyway, that is enough of a preamble. Now, listeners, if you remember, last week, issue 62 finished with Superman being encased in a sort of glob of molten lava and Power Girl being sunk into the ground against her will by the evil alien Zanadu. And then we had a two-panel sort of very rapid and abrupt cliffhanger where Hawkman and Wildcat were sort of set at each other with Wildcat knocking Hawkman out unexpectedly. And we pick up from that, don't we, Peter?
No.
No, well.
Well, Yes.
What is the cause of this confusion? The best thing we can do is just jump straight into the story. We have an opening splash image, and a very torturous caption begins.
Heroism, a combination of nobility and bravery. Two qualities not present when Wildcat attacked Hawkman seconds ago. But, despite that, this is a tale of the All-Star Super Squad. And the worst is yet to come.
Now, tail end of issue 62, we do see Wildcat falling under the influence of some drifting musical notes. And in this opening splash image, we see that the musical notes are coming from the violin being played by the Fiddler. He's standing on top of a bunch of crates. Of course, we should remember that Wildcat and Hawkman were kind of roughly in the dock area of, where was it there? Was it Tokyo?
Yeah, that's Tokyo, yeah.
Pete and I have a geographical apology to make.
Yes, I think last week, I think I kind of missed the reference to Tokyo and assumed it was China they were in, but obviously it's Japan.
We recorded last week a couple of weeks ago, listeners, so apologies. We were a bit vague on it. But anyway, yes, the Fiddler is fiddling away. We can see the notes drifting around towards Wildcat and Hawkman, but we also see, standing amongst the crates, a tall, pale-skinned figure with an Inspiral Carpets haircut, wearing a shabby, torn, raggedy black suit. We'll come back to him in a second. But we see that Wildcat's punched Hawkman seemingly from behind. Hawkman looks in great pain as the Fiddler delights and says,
"You have felled your teammate, Wildcat, and earned a place of honour in the Injustice Gang. Now kill him while the Fiddler plays his doom."
There is a scroll caption to the left of the splash image, which reads,
Roll call. Hawkman.
Wildcat.
Power Girl.
Superman.
Flash.
Green Lantern.
The Star-Spangled Kid.
Our Man.
Dr. Midnight.
Dr. Fate. And then we get a little caption box with the credits for this issue.
Paul Levitz, writer. Keith Giffen and Wally Wood, artists. Joe Orlando, editor. Aided and abetted by Carl Gafford and Ben Oda. So that'll be Carl on colours, Ben on letters.
Fantastic. And then we get the title of this issue's adventure.
The Death of Dr. Fate.
Gasp.
Yeah.
It did highlight that on the cover, didn't it? So that's not bad. That's one thing that's accurate. Over the page, the captioning resumes.
Side by side they stood, rescuing the people of Tokyo from the ravages of Xanadu's chaos powers. Only now, one has fallen.
Hawkman looks up at Wildcat and he says,
Fight it, Cat. You know it's only the Fiddler's music.
We get a close-up of Wildcat with his eyes wide and musical notes dancing in front of him as he says, No?
And the other has fallen under a spell.
Yes, and Wildcat grabs Hawkman violently by the throat. There is an amazing
Quam.
Quam, of course, as I've probably said in the past, is an abbreviation my friend Emma Louise taught me, which stands for Ken What I Mean, or Know What I Mean, if you're Scottish. Anyway, Wildcat's grabbed a hold of Hawkman by the throat and he says, No, the song says you must die. We cut back to the Fiddler and Solomon Grundy, for it is Solomon Grundy who was lurking amongst the crates in his raggedy suit and pale skin. Solomon Grundy? But what? He was left on the moon of Earth-1 by Superman. What is going on? The Fiddler is saying,
See, my brutish ally, how my music inflames the savage, makes him forget who is his friend.
Oh, Grundy, see his stupid cat and bird fighting. Where Green Lantern? You say me could kill Lantern.
And so you shall. For as the plan builds to a crescendo, the whole Justice Society will fall to us, and we shall each see our foes dead. Your enemy, the Green Lantern, and the Flash, who has ruined my life. And the Injustice Society will dance on their graves.
And the music continues to play as Hawkman and Wildcat continue to struggle. There's a very dynamic shot of Wildcat punching Hawkman out with a
Whomp!
And as the musical notes dance above Wildcat, he strikes Hawkman again and thinks, Crowd cheering, gotta win tonight, no matter what it takes, gotta. And then we see him throttling Hawkman, good grief. The Fiddler says,
I have him now, he's lost in the dream. He'll play the finale without ever realising that he isn't in a fight ring.
Grundy just stands mute, but at the top of page 3 there's some more captioning.
The hypnotic notes that had filled the air begin to fade, leaving a sudden silence. A stillness that reeks of death.
And Wildcat, standing over Hawkman, comes to his senses. Looks down at his feathered friend and says, Huh? Hey, Hawky, what you doing down there? Get up, or do you want me to do all the work? See the Fiddler waving his bow and his violin in the air triumphantly as he says,
"Fool! He will never rise. He is the first JSAer to suffer the revenge of the Injustice Society. And you, the instrument of that revenge, are the next to go."
"Instrument? You mean like I killed him? And you made me do it with that crazy fiddle of yours. You lousy creep. You made me kill my friend." Wildcat moves towards the Fiddler in the next panel, saying, "There's one good thing, though. If I'm already a murderer, I don't have to waste any time feeling guilty about killing you."
"Back off, muscle-bound cretin, or I'll play a tune that will paralyse you with pain."
"You're too late for that, Fiddler. I may be getting a little grey, but you're still a one-punch knockdown for me." And Ted shoves the Fiddler backwards into a crate, which shatters.
"A boxer's fists are considered lethal weapons in a court of law, and Ted Grant retired from the ring as undefeated champion to wear the Wildcat mask. If he delivers one more blow, he may get his wish to become a murderer."
And we see Wildcat knocking lumps out of the Fiddler, who gets a close-up in the next panel as he says,
"Grundy, you hulking idiot! Get him!"
And then Solomon looms over Wildcat, and Wildcat looks tiny in comparison to Grundy here. And Wildcat's a big guy. Grundy, standing over Wildcat, says, "Fiddler brought me here from the moon. If he says stop you, Catman, Grundy stop you good." And an asterisk takes us to a caption which reads,
"See Superman issue 301 for how Grundy got there. Joe." Or indeed the previous episode of this podcast. And we shall be coming back to that later on.
We certainly will. See Grundy from behind in the first panel of the next page, squinting up to Cat, who says, "You really think you're tough, don't you, big man? Well, I fought better men in my day, and bigger too." Ted lunges forward, punching Solomon in the stomach, saying, "Like my trainer used to say, the bigger they are, the harder they fall." And as Grundy punches down towards Wildcat with a you see Ted leaping up with one hand on Grundy's shoulder and flipping himself behind, as Grundy can only say, "Fall? Grundy not fall. Grundy never fall." Wildcat's got behind him at this point, kicks him in the back with a
crunch,
as Ted replies, "Yeah, but you never took me on either, dummy." And then the next panel is amazing. Hopefully they'll be in for this on the socials, as with a crash. Grundy strikes Wildcat with a vicious backhander, sending him flying and saying, "First Cat hurts, friend. Then Cat tries to hurt me. Then Cat teases Grundy. Cat is stupid one. Cat has made Grundy mad." And we see a great shot of Grundy from below, flaring nostrils and eyes, wide open mouth, as the caption reads,
"The marshland monster is not life as we know it. His grisly inhuman eyes glow with a light that we could only call supernatural. But not life to us. To Wildcat, he is death."
See Wildcat rubbing his forehead and he's saying out loud, "Oh, always knew I'd get myself killed running around in this stupid union suit, but I always thought I'd be KO'd by some weirdo death ray. Never thought I'd have my final ticket punched out." And his eyes open wide as he sees something we don't see, and he mutters, "Good Lord." We see Grundy standing over Wildcat, holding a massive crate, ready to bring it down on Wildcat, as Grundy says, "Goodbye, Catman." But then suddenly there is a as a very familiar figure in a white unitard and a red cape with blue boots and gloves flies up through the floor of the dock, knocking the crate out of Grundy's hand and shattering it. Now I continue to have a conversation with myself. Of course, it's Power Girl, and she says, "Don't you think it's a little early for fond farewells, tall, dark and ugly?" Wildcat, delighted to see her for once, yells, "Power Girl! But Zanadu, he blasted you, buried you underground. I thought you were finished." Wildcat must have really good eyesight. Listeners will come back to that. Power Girl, looping around, says, "Sorry to disappoint you, Wildcat, but both you and Zanadu misjudged how much digging a healthy young Kryptonian can do." And then we also see, standing in front of Grundy, is none other than the Earth 2 Superman. Obviously, he's managed to dig himself out of that big lump of stuff that he was stuck in, and he's saying, "Stop chattering, Power Girl. I burst free of Xanadu's volcanic trap too. But it's more vital that we stop Solomon Grundy than trade casebook items. Instead of boasting, apply a little muscle power here, and we can reduce the Injustice Gang's membership by 1. And Soups stands behind Grundy, both hands open, as Grundy looks appalled and says, "No one stops Solomon Grundy. No one." Top of the next page, thank goodness there's a caption.
The man-monster screams his defiance and struggles wildly, but it is as though he screamed at the wind and struggled against the tide. For he battles the great templed guardian, who is the first and greatest of the superheroes, and his cousin, the flames of her youth making her even more fierce. Flames far hotter than those of the nearby cooling volcano, whose pit they use as Grundy's prison.
Yeah, so as those three captions have been going on, we've seen Power Girl leap in behind Grundy as well. Her and Soups each grab Grundy under the arm, lift up into the air. Now, it does look like they're flying here. We see them then in the air above a volcano. It might well be the same volcano that they just had to deal with at the end of issue 62. And then they drop Grundy into the open maw of said volcano. Got that? Good. We cut back to Wildcat and Hawkman. Hawkman looking much better. He's on his feet. He's got the Fiddler over his right shoulder. As Wildcat says, "Hawkman, I didn't kill you. Guess I can't do anything right anymore."
I'll forgive you this time, old friend, and I even finished off the Fiddler for you.
Terrific.
Hardly. Zanadu has my wife, and since Superman and Power Girl were defeated by him, God only knows where She-Ra is now.
Superman is then standing behind Hawkman and Wildcat in the next panel as Wildcat says to Carter, "Hey, you saw how Soups took care of us, didn't ya? He must have done something to take care of She-Ra too." To which Soups says, "No, I'm afraid that wasn't possible, Wildcat. By the time we had freed ourselves, Zanadu was gone, leaving only an after-image burning to taunt us, as he did before." Last couple of lines are a little voiceover to a panel showing the glowing silhouettes of She-Ra floating in midair and the wide-sleeved and wide-collared silhouette of Zanadu, again standing beside the open mouth of the volcano, possibly the same volcano Grundy's been dropped into. Answers in a postcard. We cut back to Hawkman.
Some superheroes we are. We stop Vulcan, but only after he almost kills Dr. Fate. And we drive Zanadu off, saving the city of Tokyo from being completely destroyed, but we let him take my wife again. Heroes? Ha! I'm not even sure we are men.
And at this, Hawkman takes to the air, flying off away from Power Girl, Superman and Wildcat, and then, very quickly, flying through the glowing silhouette of Zanadu. So, I'm guessing the mouth of the volcano must be very, very close to this part of the dock. So maybe Wildcat could see what was going on. We'll come back to that. Then, at the top of the next page is a great moody close-up of Superman. We talked last time how we admired the way he's being rendered with the closed sort of narrow eyes, and this is magnificent.
Yeah.
Soups standing with Wildcat and Power Girl, and Big Blue is saying to Carter, who probably can't hear him, "We're what we always were, Hawkman. Mortals. Poor, foolish mortals who dream they can change the world when usually they can't. But we won't stop trying, and I swear to you, old friend, we'll find She-Ra, if we have to cross the globe 1,000 times to do it." And Power Girl and Wildcat look on as the captioning returns.
On which note, reader, we shall join a similarly solemn quest already in progress. As Flash and Green Lantern stand on the scorched Egyptian sands staring at the Sphinx and searching for the answer to a riddle. The riddle which can save Dr. Fate's life.
And we see Jay standing with his back to his hands and his hips, Alan, Green Lantern, floating in the air behind him. Now, I visited Cairo in 1993, listeners. I've actually been inside one of the pyramids. I've got a photograph somewhere of me with the Sphinx. Maybe I'll have time to put it in the socials this week, who can say. And I have to say, unless it was a massive amount of building done between 1976 and 1993, this is not a particularly accurate representation of this part of the world. But hey, maybe things are different than Earth too. Anyway, Green Lantern is saying, "I'm sure that Ankh symbol was a message from Fate's unconscious that a cure could be found in Egypt. But now that we're here, how do we identify the cure?"
I know one thing, GL. The Sphinx hasn't spoken in centuries, and she's not about to now.
Then let's find someone who will. Maybe a mystic.
A mystic? Given more controlled conditions, I'd say you were crazy, but it's Fate's only chance.
They're moving across the sand now, GL still in the air, Jay running along. GL replies, "The more I think about it, the more I like it. A seer will know, and maybe he can figure why my life is falling apart. Why I let my best friend get killed."
You can't blame yourself, Lantern. Kent Nelson knew what he was doing from the day he became Dr. Fate. He knew the chance he... Look!
And Jay breaks off because we can see on the ground a shadow, a weird shadow. It appears to be a horse with wings. Alan says, "What is it?" And they both look up at the sky and we see, silhouetted against the afternoon sun, indeed, a figure on the back of a horse with wings. Flash looks up and says,
I think we found our supernatural friend. unless ordinary people have taken to riding winged horses.
More on that mystery next issue, reader. Now let us turn from the land of magic to the land of science, the JSA headquarters, where the Star-Spangled Kid's cosmic rod is being used in a last desperate attempt to prolong the fading life of Dr. Fate.
Yes, we're back in the laboratory, and we can see the cosmic rod still wired into the machinery. Star-Spangled Kid still wearing his little headset and grasping the joysticks, for want of a better way of putting it, that are triggering the electrical beams that are buzzing down towards Kent Nelson, lying stretched out in the Dr. Fate gear. Hourman and Dr. Midnight look on. Star-Spangled Kid is saying,
I'm glad you switched from your medical gear to your costume, Dr. Midnight. You'll need all the protection you can get if I lose control of the cosmic rod.
You're doing fine, kid. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't stand a chance of keeping Fate alive.
Well, Doc, I hate to disappoint you, but I think I just blew it.
We see the sweat pouring off the Star-Spangled Kid's face, as with a massive burst of energy crackles up in front of all the heroes, and the captioning resumes.
Suddenly, the rod flares into a blaze of light so bright that it can only last seconds. A brilliant burst like that of a star going nova, and then swiftly fading into the dying night.
Yes, we see a shot of the cosmic rod in the machinery with what looks like smoke coming off it. And then we see Hourman looking at a readout screen, which has a flat line on it, and indeed, helpfully, Rex clarifies what's going on when he says, It's over. There's no brain activity at all. We may be able to keep his body alive a while longer with your fancy machines, Midnight, but Dr. Fate is dead. Hourman, are you certain there's no reading on this screen? He can't have gone that quickly. Certain? Gangsters blinded you years ago, Midnight. Not me. I'm the man of the hour, and I'm telling you, Dr. Fate's hour is over. And Hourman punches the machinery with a frustrated
Boom!
As Dr. Fate's body lies in the machinery, another screen showing a flat line, Hourman calms down slightly and says, Sorry, old friend. It's just hard to give up hope, Midnight replies. It's harder to give up an old comrade, and we fought a lot of battles together once.
This really hits you, doesn't it? It doesn't matter how many years you play at being hero, the defeats are still just as hard to take.
Pull out for a wilder shot. That was the Star-Spangled Kid obviously speaking there. He appears to have a glove on his right hand, but not on his left. Shoot the colourist. We can see smoke coiling off all of the machinery at this point as Dr. Midnight, with his hood down, says, I've seen more men die than you could know, kid, and it hurts every time just the same. Worse, when you've done all you can and it still wasn't enough. Very moody Hourman contributes, Kent Nelson was a good man, and he had a good life. A chance to fight for what he believed in, and a chance to die for it as well. I only wish all men could live so nobly, and die in as good a cause. Dr. Midnight, looking very sad, replies, There are no good deaths, Hourman. No good causes in which to die. In the end, there's only death. And as he and Hourman walk away from the machinery, they're both caught in a spotlight, as McNider concludes, and that's what we've fought so hard to prevent. In the first panel, the next page, suddenly a screen lights up. We see the glowing, flashing word, Alert! And a voice comes through a speaker saying,
Attention, Justice Society, please respond. A weird alien being is hovering over the city. The same alien who was earlier reported at the site of the Tokyo disaster.
Hourman whirls and says, That must be Zanadu, the creature Hawkman radioed us about. We're going to see some action at last. Come on, guys.
Let's go, Hourman. Last one up the tube is a...
And we then see, if you remember that cutaway that we described in last week's episode, we see Hourman and Star-Spangled Kid flying up, under their own power by the looks of things, flying up with a couple of...
whoosh, whoosh.
Flying up a big long tube, for want of a better way of putting it, and we see them passing a sign that reads Level 2, and Star-Spangled Kid realises it's just the two of them when he says,
Hey, where'd Midnight go?
And a very small caption says,
Good question, kid.
And a directional arrow takes us back to Charles McNider, back in the laboratory, very seriously thinking to himself, No point. There's just no point anymore. I failed as a superhero and as a surgeon. I might as well just give up and go on home. And he throws his mask with his goggles and his symbol of the crescent moon, and we see it hanging over a beam as he walks off into darkness. We cut to outside, with the Star-Spangled Kid and Our Man flying through the air under the power of the cosmic rod, which is obviously recovered from whatever it was that happened to it in the machine. And as they soar, Our Man is saying, "Thanks for the star-powered lift, kid. My Miraculo-Pill-induced superpowers don't include flying, or even leaping over tall buildings."
It's your super strength I'm counting on, Our Man. Take care of that and leave the driving to us.
And Sylvester breaks off because we see in front of them, surrounded by that trademark orange glow, it's Zanadu, with Shearer Hall floating close by. And very helpfully, Sylvester recaps what I've just said when he says,
He's just standing there in mid-air. It must be Zanadu. He even has Shearer Hall in some sort of weird force field.
"No use stopping here, kid. Let's go get him." And the next page is a cracker. A full-page splash showing Zanadu, who looks absolutely horrific. He's a very unpleasant fellow. Surrounded by his golden glow, he seems to be standing on a golden platform, which he's generated as well. Shearer, out for the count, floating beside him, still in a white dressing gown. And as Xanadu's right hand flashes and a bolt of energy flies down towards the city beneath him, he says,
"More humans to challenge Zanadu. How foolish! Must Zanadu defeat you again and again? Or will you ever learn to bow before the Chaos Lords?"
His blast strikes the ground. We see, it looks as if Sylvester's is kind of recoiling from it, and Our Man is either dancing or standing on that roof or is still floating. Thanks to Sylvester. It's not too clear in this panel, but anyway, Our Man is saying, "Never, Zanadu, and especially not while you hold Shearer Hall hostage. As long as you do that, the Justice Society fights on." And over the page, Our Man somehow is soaring through the air towards Xanadu and punching him out with a kapow! As he says, "Whatever it takes to stop you, Xanadu, I have it right here." Helpfully, Star-Spangled Kid answers my question here.
Our Man, watch out. You're travelling out of range of the cosmic rod. You'll fall.
And indeed, that's what happens in the next panel. Amazing. We see Our Man plummeting towards the roofs of the skyscrapers below as he cries, "Yeah, I guess the direct approach won't work after all."
No sweat, TikTok. I'll just adjust the rod and we'll try something new. I'll focus its power through your supercharged cells and we'll blast our friend out of the sky.
Wow, this is amazing indeed. Our Man floating in midair, being struck by a burst of energy from the cosmic rod, and then he in turn fires another blast of energy up towards Xanadu. Wow, this is amazing. So, I mean, I'm almost speechless. I don't remember anything like this before. This is so cool. However, there is an interesting sound effect as the burst of energy just basically stops in front of Xanadu.
Humans, can you not grasp the majesty of the one you face? The power of Xanadu? The power that would topple your weak island civilizations and put an end to your pitiful race? You face Xanadu, who will crush you and erect a world of chaos in your stead.
Gasp! And with that, Xanadu gestures with both hands, firing a burst of orange energy towards the Star-Spangled Kid.
The power courses from his centuries-old fingers, shooting forward with the power of pent-up millennia, only to be turned at the last possible instant by the grim determination of a youth barely 2 decades old, focused through the incredible technology of a star-born rod, and turned back at that.
Yep, and we see Xanadu recoiling from a nice radiating burst of yellow and orange energy. Great look at his costume. Todd McFarlane, if you're listening, can we get a Xanadu action figure, please? As he falls backwards, the grotesque, scary guy says,
"No! For the first time in uncounted eras, Zanadu has been struck a blow. By the lords of Lost Lemuria, you shall pay for this, mortals, and your death will not be a clean one." You know, Our Man, I'd like to know how he figures a corpse can tell the difference.
"Can it, kid? I've been a superhero longer than you've been alive, and I still don't understand these creeps." And at that, we see Xanadu falling from the sky down towards the buildings below. Our Man continues, "Just use the magic wand and get us down from here. I want to greet Xanadu when he lands. especially since it looks like he's going to land in the middle of the JSA meeting room. That is lucky. And indeed we see Zanadu making an absolute mess as he falls through the ceiling into the brownstone, as he is saying,
"So, mortals, you are foolish enough to pursue Zanadu after hearing his promise to deal with you."
And as Our Man and Star Spangled Kid drop in through the hole in the ceiling, Zanadu continues,
"Then Zanadu shall forswear his plan to destroy this city of ants and concentrate his power on you instead. Prepare for your death, mortals, and for a scream that will be heard around your puny world."
Yes, we see like orange energy drifting out of his eyes, and he gestures again with his hands, and a weird sort of echoing radiating effect takes place all around him as the orange energy glows once again. Quite a lot of captioning at the top of the next page.
In the streets around them, 100,000 people pause in their daily tasks to shiver at a chill that isn't in the air. For it does not take a sensitive person to feel the undercurrent of building chaotic energy as Zanadu marshals his unholy power for a killing blow. Yet, for a sensitive, that chill is 1,000 times more intense, cold enough to reach into the grave itself. Cold enough to shock a man whose brain has died, yet whose body lives mindlessly on, with blood artificially pumping through its veins and air forced through its lungs.
So very quickly, there's a silhouette of Zanadu and a nice montage shot of lots of faces of people obviously feeling the effect of what he's doing. And then we see that the supposedly dead body of Kent Nelson, a close-up of his face, but there's a blip and the screen showing his flatlined life support indeed blips, and there's a jag, and then we see a nice montage shot of Xanadu's wide eyes and the closed eyes of Kent Nelson. We then see Charles McNider, who must have been walking very slowly indeed to leave that room, as he turns his head and says, "What? Fate? He's stirring. That can't be."
But it is, Dr. Midnight, it is.
And we see a close-up of the face of Kent Nelson, his eyes glowing bright orange, and he's surrounded in a golden glow.
Slowly his eyes blaze with fires of life, driven by a force beyond our understanding, as the servant of order rises to challenge the Lord of Chaos.
And Dr. Midnight looks on and exclaims, "My God!" as Dr. Fate's hands raise and a golden burst of energy appears in the air above him.
The blast rips upward, irresistibly drawn through the rock and stone to its intended victim, arriving just as Xanadu's power reaches a crescendo of chaos, and causing a cancelling of energies the likes of which mere mortal flesh could not withstand.
Yes, Dr. Fate's energy manifests as a giant golden glowing ankh. So take a drink, listeners.
Oh, yep.
Not that any of you need any excuse. And as all this is going on, Our Man and Star Spangled Kid are watching, and Our Man says, "I don't know what that was, kid, but I think it just added years to our lives."
"I'm not sure, Our Man. I think Xanadu's getting up again, although I can't imagine how."
Yes, we see Zanadu getting to his feet, reaching forward, and he says,
"It seems you have a master sorcerer in your midst, mortals. Zanadu did not know that." "Sorcerer? Our Man, he couldn't mean." "But now that Zanadu knows, he will be prepared, and you will finally die."
Zanadu gets a close-up with his eyes glowing bright red, but then the perspective shifts and we see that Sylvester and Rex are no longer alone. Superman, Wildcat and Power Girl have joined them, with Star Spangled Kid saying,
"No, somehow I just don't think that's gonna happen."
and Superman affirms this, saying, "In fact, my primordial playmate, you can count yourself lucky if you walk away from this encounter." And then another voice says from off-camera,
"Unarmed? Hell, he'll be lucky to walk away alive, even though She-Ra hasn't been harmed."
And we see in the first panel, the next page, that it's Hawkman who is speaking, and She-Ra Hall is with him. She seems okay. Xanadu looks in their direction and says,
"You've freed her, witless one. My focus, the mortal through whose emotion Xanadu's power could grow and engulf the world. But you have not saved yourselves, for Zanadu is still the mightiest, and the power of chaos shall still crush you all."
And he gestures, his arms wide, as I'm miming for the benefit of our YouTube viewers, and a caption helpfully describes what's going on.
An unearthly green glow lights the room, becoming more intense as the seconds pass, building to the point of becoming an all-consuming flame. A miniature sun whose every prominence calls for death and destruction. The death of the JSA and the destruction of the world.
And we see our man, Power Girl and Wildcat and others looking on as a green flame surrounds Zanadu, reaches up as he seems to just exalt in it, until suddenly
a golden ray cuts through the green, and the world goes mad.
Yes, it almost looks as though Xanadu's had his head cut off, but there's a weird sound effect, and then we see that he's suddenly, well, the Star Spangled Kid hovering in the air above him helpfully tells us when he says,
I don't believe it. 1 minute he's ready to wreck the place, then whammo! He's back in that amber cage Hawkman found him in.
And indeed he is. He's frozen in a block of amber where we first saw him in the earlier issue. Superman looks at it all and says, It's incredible. But then we see a shadow, a familiar shadow, falling over the floor, as a new arrival says,
No, my friends, it is magic. Just as the force of his enchantment summoned my consciousness back to my body after it had abandoned this existence, so was I able to force him back into imprisonment. Once his hold over Shira Hall, his focus was ended. Tonight you have seen a dead man walk, and a being who lived millions of years die.
And the Doctor gets a nice close-up here with golden energy streaming out of the eye sockets of his helmet. Very, very effective. We turn the page, but before we turn the page, I just want to point out this advertisement for the 1977 DC calendar, and at the top, an advertisement for the hardcover Secret Origins of the DC superheroes, which I have a copy of. Is that showing off? So I might put this page and a photograph of that book up on the socials this week to pad things out. Over the page, a slow dissolve, a caption reads,
Epilogue.
We get close-up of Dr. Midnight with his hood and goggles back in position as he's saying, Gentlemen, I don't understand it, and I'm sure I don't believe it, but I've examined Dr. Fate and he'll be fine. After an extended rest, we see our man, the Star Spangled Kid, and Wildcat, with our man saying, Looks like I picked a perfect time to come out of retirement. The gang's got to be all together again.
Wait till we radio Flash and GL about this,
says the Kid, as Wildcat says, Who says the good old days are over? But then the Man of Steel pours cold water and everything when he says, I do, I'm afraid. This latest adventure has convinced me to give up my membership in the JSA. Effective immediately, friends, consider me retired, and I insist you elect Power Girl to full membership as my replacement. Wildcat is appalled. He cries, What? As Power Girl concludes matters saying, You know, cousin, you're not such a bad sort after all. And then we have a slow dissolve.
More on that next issue, reader. For now, let us remember that there is a balance in this universe. And just as there is a Justice Society, there is an Injustice Society. And their leader, the Icicle, has plans as well.
Yes, and those captions surround a nice sort of rendering of a pair of cosmic scales. And then we see, oh my goodness, it's the Icicle. We can see his shiny, pointy face as he's saying,
Attention, fellow members. As you know, our first attempt to eliminate the Justice Society has failed. The Fiddler and Solomon Grundy were captured, but I'm confident that our next attempt will succeed.
And we see the silhouetted forms of 4 other people. We can't really make out who they are at this point. But the Icicle continues.
Not only are we united in greater numbers than ever before, but there's a weak link in our enemy's midst. A weak link by the name of Our Man.
And we close on a shot of Our Man as the Icicle blasts him with his cold ray gun and a chunk of ice forms over Our Man's hourglass. Oh my goodness. There is some captioning to finally conclude matters.
Next, will Power Girl really replace Superman? Who is that mysterious man and flying horse, and where will he lead Green Lantern and the Flash? What does the Icicle know that we don't? The answer to these and other questions await you October 21st, when Yesterday Begins Today.
Wasn't that the name of a second season episode of Star Trek?
Close enough.
Might as well be.
Tomorrow is yesterday, yes.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Was that the Gary 7 pilot or whatever it was?
No, it's Assignment Earth.
Oh, so it was. Well, tomorrow's yesterday's. That was one of the last ones, isn't it? Or was that all our yesterdays? Oh my goodness, right, enough Star Trek talk.
I know.
And I'm sure there are Star Trek podcasts available.
One or two.
Well, that was fun. The cover wasn't quite as inaccurate as I thought at first.
No.
Because obviously Power Girl does arrive in the nick of time. So that was quite good. But Solomon Grundy there, rocking up for a whole few pages to get dropped in a volcano.
Yes.
Go ahead then.
Right. So at the end of Superman issue 301, Solomon Grundy was trapped by the Earth 1 Superman on the Earth 1 moon, or Moon 1, for lack of a better term.
Oh, I love it. Moon 1, take a drink.
So, the Fiddler apparently found out about this, travelled to Earth 1 to pick up Solomon Grundy, just to have him appear for a couple of pages.
Yes.
To beat up Wildcat.
Yes.
Now, we do know that the Fiddler can travel between universes, because that was in the very first JLA GSA crossover. In fact, it's the Fiddler who first mentioned the phrase Earth 2, which is a fact that I always found hilarious.
Yes.
He's the first person to say it. Anyway, at the end of this, Grundy is dropped into a volcano in Tokyo on Earth 2.
Yes.
Bear that in mind, listeners, for when Grundy next appears.
That's going to be back in the pages of Superman, I think,
Yeah.
if memory serves.
Interestingly, Mike's Amazing World of Comics places Superman issue 301 after this issue, even although it references it the other way around in this issue.
Yeah, and the Superman 301 basically picks up from JLA 91 and 92, doesn't it, with Grundy still being in the swamp?
Yeah, and trapped in the Green Lantern's bubble.
Yeah, there's no mention of him having been dropped in a volcano and then dug out and returned to the swamp.
No.
Because it hasn't happened. Paul Levitz does tend to overwrite a little, doesn't he?
Yeah, early Paul is very wordy.
It's very late Roy.
Yeah, with Jerry Conway influence.
You can see, listeners, I hope, why we decided to do these ones fully and properly rather than condensed, because they are quite rich. They're very satisfying. I mean, I could have broadly outlined the plot of each of them in wide strokes, but it wouldn't have been quite as much fun as actually reading them, and we would have missed some of this brilliant artwork. There were a couple of other story points that we kind of wanted to sort of challenge. For me, the fact that the cosmic rod seems to be completely burnt out.
Yeah.
Then it works fine for Sylvester and Rex to go flying about. That's an odd one. I guess it must have just recharged very quickly.
Either that, or maybe it's got some sort of circuit breaker on it that flipped, just like it did in my house earlier on this evening.
Oh.
Yes, listeners, I'm sitting in darkness just now. So
yes, what's going on with that? Tell us quickly. Is a fuse blown or something? Or
basically, the bulb went in the room where I record the podcast.
Right.
But it tripped the circuit breaker. But unfortunately,
I understand.
It's a three-way light, but there's only one bulb in it because it gets too hot otherwise.
Sure.
I forgot, and I thought the whole thing had fused.
Right.
But no, it's just one bulb that needs replaced. But I thought I had spare bulbs, but I don't. There you go, exciting.
I see. Listeners, have you had any trouble with light bulbs at home recently? Do write in and let us know. Peter will tell you how to do that later.
I'm here by torchlight. It's great fun.
Yes. Podcasting by Torchlight, of course, supported the Montrose Avenue at the Leeds Cockpit on their final tour. I love Our Man being able to be charged and used basically as a vehicle.
What's that about? That's so weird.
It's mental, isn't it?
Yeah, surely that would burn him out, because it's like if you're using him as a conduit to just like focus energy through it, he's not like a crystal. It's not like you can focus energy through it. He's still a human. He's just a human with a ton of adrenaline, pretty much. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and it's also, we don't actually see at any point Rex taking the pill.
No, he does mention he's going to, yeah.
Must have done it off camera, probably.
Although he does punch that machine earlier on, the machine Dr. Fate was in.
That's true.
With a huge sound effect. But that seems a bit of a waste of a pill if he's just punching that then.
Maybe he had to take a pill to operate the part of the machine that he was pressing buttons on in the first panel that we see them.
I question the effectiveness of this machine, anyway.
Yes, me too. Quite action-packed, but we skipped ahead from like Wildcat's knowledge of Power Girl being shoved in underground and stuff by Zanadu. We mentioned that during the record, but that's an odd one. How did he see that?
He wasn't there at that time, so unless it was a good line of sight, as you said, perhaps he might have been able to see it, but surely he had other things in his mind at the time.
It's like that bit in Attack of the Cybermen when Perry knows that the Daleks had a time corridor in Resurrection of the Daleks.
Yes, she'd read the script.
It's like that.
She'd been reading the old TARDIS logs.
Yes, probably. Maybe Chameleon told her.
She had read Eric Saber's notes.
She'd read Eric Saber's notes for his novelisation. Timey-wimey. There we go. Another bit that struck me was that Chuck isn't wearing his goggles, Chuck Snyder, Dr. Midnight, isn't wearing his goggles or even his glasses, and seems to be able to see Dr. Fate's raising his hands and generating this energy. That seems a bit sloppy to me.
Yeah, because as far as we're aware, Charles McNider is blind unless he's in complete darkness, or is wearing either his special glasses or his goggles. And he's wearing neither of them here. It's a darker room, but surely the light coming off the machinery and also the light that seems to be generated around Kent Nelson's body
would cancel out,
Yeah.
Indeed.
But still, it's a striking look, Dr. Midnight without his cowl, because you never see that. It's very odd looking.
Yeah, it's very, very rarely.
Yeah. It just shows it's very Robin-like, his costume, because obviously with the red tunic,
This is true, yeah. That reminds me when Kingdom Come first came out and you sort of, the Red Robin outfit, you think, wait a minute, that looks an awful lot like Dr. Midnight. Kingdom Come is now over 30 years old, listeners.
My goodness.
Reflect on that. It does look odd to see him without his dark glasses. It's very unusual. Or maybe just, of course, Keith Giffen maybe just goofed and forgot to draw them, or forgot that you should have them. I don't know.
It's interesting that Zanadu is using She-Ra as a conduit to basically control human emotions and, focuses chaos.
Yes.
Because obviously the first human he encountered was that Dr. Clyburn, who he instantly killed, and She-Ra was the second one. So why did he not just grab Clyburn and use him?
That's a thought. Maybe he fancied She-Ra more than Clyburn.
Maybe She-Ra's got a stronger will and was, better for focusing through. Because that make more sense being a heroine. Yeah.
Maybe he was having a really good dream when Clyburn woke him up and he was annoyed at Clyburn, so that's why he zapped him.
Could be. Or it could be something to do with the reincarnation aspect of the Hawks, having that longer lifespan.
Yeah.
Perhaps, there was more kind of mental energy he could channel through. Who knows?
Oh, that's an interesting point. Yeah, I like that. Heaven knows there was enough room for more captions from Levitz to explain that. Maybe when we write our DC comic that shows the giant mirror that was reflecting the events of the volcano down towards Wildcat so we could see what was going on.
It was nice of the JSAers and the Brownstone to instantly radio Flash and Green Lantern telling him it's okay, you don't need to do any more searching in Egypt. Dr. Fate's alive again. It's nice of them to do that instantly and let them know. Let their pals know they're not on a wild goose chase.
Yes.
That was great.
Yes, that's a point. I'm liking the slow burn that we've had from this issue and last issue. That gentleman at the bazaar who was trying to buy the solution that could do anything. And then this silhouetted form of someone with a flying horse.
My goodness. Yes. Who could this possibly be? And reference to a land of magic as well.
Yes.
That was referenced in the captions, which is, I wonder if that was a subtle clue as to the identity of the person on the winged horse. Listeners, go back and listen to our Land of Magic episodes, and you might have an idea of who we're talking about here.
Is that a reference to the big Seven Soldiers team-up thing we did from Adventure Comics?
Yep.
Which featured, amongst others, Brandon Peters and Max and Rich from the Weird Warriors and Ross from Stop Let's Team Up.
Yes.
And Martin Gray, of course.
Making his Earth 2 podcast debut, yes.
Yes. Wouldn't it be nice if some of those people came back soon, listeners?
If only. Let me check my Rolodex.
Anyway, check your Infinite Address book. I loved all the stuff with Our Man fighting in midair and then forgetting that he couldn't fly and then falling. That was great fun. As a huge Our Man fan, I was delighted by his involvement. Because last week he did nothing. He just kind of came in and stood about. And it was fun. The artwork wasn't quite as fancy.
No.
Not quite as fancy, but still amazing. There's quite a lot of pages of the original art from this issue kicking about as well, listeners. So you'll have seen it. I had quite a few to post on the socials last week, and I have quite a few to post this week as well. So make sure you watch out for them. Yeah. It's a very satisfying issue. I do think, though, that some of the captioning and some of the dialogue was a little overwritten. There was an awful lot of CBC captioning, which I think we should be beyond by now, I think. We are getting to the stage where more stuff's being told by dialogue, though, as opposed to by captioning, which is quite good. I do like that. Yeah. One thing I've got to comment on, because I think it's hilarious, is it was good that Dr. Fate actually managed to uncrumple his helmet after the last issue. Green Lantern seems to have crushed it slightly. That's right, I forgot about that. Not a dent in the helm of Naboo. When he appears, it's quite good at the end. Yeah, Dr. Midnight must have put his goggles on to see what it was and dig it out of the bin. Yes. And hand it to Dr. Fate. Yes, a cracking entrance from Dr. Fate there. Yes, Seemingly fully restored and back to normal and Ank's away. Yes, and probably to take on a massive and busy role for the rest of the series. I look forward to you getting plenty of use out of the cocktail shaker. Yeah, it was an interesting juxtaposition having Zanadu
as the Chaos Master against the Lord of Order, Dr. Fate. That was a nice kind of like setup. Yeah. So that was quite cool.
Oh, yeah, that's a point. Yeah. We've had Ankh Watch, where we've been keeping an eye out since we started the podcast, actually, for when it would shift from Jaggedy Lightning to Ankh's.
Huh.
But yeah, is that the first... I can't remember from first issue special. Did that have any chat about Lords of Order and Lords of Chaos?
Yeah, I think it did.
Right.
No, it's weird because he does actually say Lord of Order at some point here. But that just goes to show, if Zanadu hadn't been released from the Amber, then Dr. Fate would still be dead.
Oh my goodness, that's a great point.
So,
wow.
I know.
Gee whiz. And Solomon Grundy might not have fallen into that volcano.
It's worth getting the Lemurian disco god
out
of his Amber prison.
Wow. Of course. Blimey. I wonder if any of the contemporary correspondents noticed that.
Shall we jump ahead to All-Star comments?
Indeed. Grab your copy of issue 65, listeners. It's the one with that guy on the cover. I'm not going to spoil that for you. And flip to All-Star comments. So the first letter goes like this.
Dear Joe, there are very few comics being printed today that can match the quality of the revived All-Star comics. That has been said by many others. If it hasn't, it should have been. But I would like to give my reasons for bestowing such an accolade. I equate quality with originality. Frankly, I have never seen a more original way of bringing a superhero back from the dead, as was done with Dr. Fate in issue 63. How appropriate! How flawless! It was to have the Master of Order called back from the grip of death by the very force that has on numerous occasions hurled him into that grip. It was splendid, exciting, and above all, entertaining. With such fine, fresh and vivid writing, backed by art that is second to none, All-Star is original, entertaining, and that equals quality. With a formula like that, the finished product can be nothing short of a hit. Am I not correct? Says Joe Paluzzo from Brooklyn, New York.
Yes, I liked how he said that equals quality, because where Peter and I come from, quality is a word that means something that's very, very good indeed. I would definitely say that issue 63 of All-Star Comics was quality. Editorial response reads, "We hope so, Joe, because those are the ingredients we try to include in every magazine we do." Anyway, the next letter reads, Dear Joe, I honestly think that Power Girl is the most exciting DC heroine in years. We've been seeing a lot of extremely far-out heroines in the past few years, but she is a down-to-earth return to the super-heroine basics. She's strong, she's a fighter, and she's clearly not going to let anything stand in her way. It's this simplicity about her that gives a Golden Age feel just right for this book, though she's a contemporary character in that she lives life by her own rules and sets her own goals. If she does in fact replace Superman in the JSA's roster, I have no doubt that she'll be the head of the whole group before another 10 issues have gone by. In this issue, you mentioned the possibility of a backup series in Adventure Comics for Power Girl. I say yes, preferably written and drawn by Wally Woods, as he seems to understand her and has made her extremely attractive. Simmer down, boy. I think she's just too big to be held in All-Star. She's dominated the past couple of issues, which I loved, and when she didn't appear much in this issue, number 63, I felt cheated. However, All-Star is a book full of marvellous characters, and those characters need exposure. The only way to have our cake and to eat it is to give Power Girl some solo space elsewhere, thereby satiating our PG appetite and allowing us to savour the rest of the All-Star cast too. And that's from Bob Roddy, The Campus, South University of Dayton, Dayton, Ohio, 45469. He loves Power Girl.
He certainly does. Editorial response, we're convinced, Bob. Now you convince Woody to find the time in his overcrowded schedule, and we'll find a place to run the story. Right now, it's all the illustrious Mr. Wood can do to turn out All-Star on a regular basis. But when we get the chance, ...
Yes, will Power Girl have a solo turn anywhere? We'll have to wait and see.
Next letter. Dear gentlemen, the artwork on All-Star 63 was excellent, and I am looking forward to seeing next issue when Wally Wood takes over the complete art chores. He has always been one of my favourite artists. Unfortunately, the story wasn't as good as the artwork. For one thing, it seemed rushed. Dr. Fate's death and resurrection seemed too ridiculous to swallow, and the defeat of the Fiddler and Solomon Grundy was too quick and simple. But hopefully they'll be getting a bigger work out next issue. The Justice Society doesn't seem to like the JSA either. I have almost all the JLA JSA team-ups, and the JSA, as they appear in the new All-Star, barely resemble the JSA of old. The JSA should appear a lot older, at least 10 years older than the JLA. And let's have a little more down-to-earth JSA, since most of them are married, and not 24-hour superheroes. Finally, I'd like to see more members pop up in All-Star, especially, brace yourself David, Mr. Terrific.
Hell yeah.
Who would add more colour to the strip. So says Angel Rivera from the Bronx in New York.
Yes, he literally would offer more colour, what with being green and red and yellow. Before we get to the editorial response, made mention there of the JSA should appearing older and that. We didn't really talk there on it, but there was that discussion between Our Man and Star Spangled Kid when Our Man said he'd been a hero longer than Star Spangled Kid had been alive.
Yeah.
Which, given that Sylvester was born only about 10 years younger than Our Man during World War II.
You would think.
And then was lost in time for quite a while before being rescued.
It's a bit of a fudge, but yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that was a bit like, it's kind of that way, like, you know, they always talk to the adult Robin like he's still a kid.
Yeah,
But at this point, he's got to be in his 40s, you know?
Yeah, Star Spangled Kid should have well actually done there. You know?
Yeah, he really should have. So the editorial response to Angel Rivera reads, on rereading, we might agree that All-Star 63 was a bit strangely paced. Was it? But we think it stands up fairly well. And as for the change in the JSA, the JLA has changed as well, because comics have been changing in the past few years, and new story values exist. As for Mr. Terrific and the other missing JSA members, some will be back in future issues, but we doubt that the Man of 1,000 Talents will be among them. He's one of those characters who seems out of place in today's comics.
No!
Interesting. Bear that in mind. Right. The next letter reads, Dear Editor, after receiving a severe headache from reading a badly written, badly drawn comic, which was nowhere near worth the price, All-Star number 63 was a comforting, soothing balm to raw nerves. The death of Dr. Fate is the best of the renewed series as yet, and considering the quality of the issues, that's something. But 63 has indeed outdone the issue before, and that's terrific. Another reference to Terry Sloan there. The most interesting point was the death of Dr. Fate and the frustration of Midnight. Midnight was in a dark sorrow, and somehow that little speech and action revealed a great deal about him. He sounds as if he has a poor self-image indeed, and I don't know why. Maybe we have a little more insight into Charles McNider. But the death of Fate, that scene was sombre, and peaceful as well as being poignant. But the revival of the Good Doctor touched on Armageddon, when two opposites meet and clash in final battle. My headache is gone. Not even a trace remains. Will Power Girl take over for Superman? Will the Injustice Society do their dirty deed? I have no idea, but I plan to find out in about 2 months. And that's from Elizabeth M. Smith, Tacoma, Washington. I'm sure everyone will shout at me for my pronunciation. Editorial response goes like this.
Won't you rejoin us in 2 months when the Injustice Society makes their long-awaited reappearance and Dr. Fate rejoins the ranks? And we invite you to pass the time until then by writing to us at All-Star Comments, DC Comics, 75 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, New York.
Peter, if our listeners wanted to write to us, how would they do it?
If you want to write to us, then what you would do is you would send us an email to the earth2podcast@gmail.com. Make sure you follow us on social media because we're putting up some lovely bonus material for this and indeed every episode on Facebook, Instagram and Blue Sky. We're at the Earth2 Podcast, and on Twitter we're at podcast_Earth2, and it is of course the number 2 for all of our socials.
It certainly is. Listeners, if you're feeling generous, if you're enjoying the show, please consider going to wherever it is you receive your podcast and leaving us a review. That would be lovely. Or you could even think about sharing one of our posts on your own social media, as some people do, and we're very grateful to them for doing so. And you might even find your way to our coffee page, where you can buy Peter the price of a beverage as he flexes his editing muscles and limbers up for the imminent... Well, that would be spoiling things, wouldn't it?
Yes. On that bombshell. I've been Peter.
And I've been David. Take care, folks. Thank you for listening. We'll see you again soon on
Earth2 Podcast.
Transmatter cube activated. Return coordinates set for Earth Prime.